Happy Wednesday. This is episode 28 of Slice of Life. That's Billy Harner. My name is Keith Brad. Billy's in his backyard on Long Island. I'm stuck in my four-walled apartment in New York City. But this show every single day puts at least a smile on my face. I know it does on yours, Billy, for some fun that we're able to have during quarantine. We'll start it off with our favorite social slice. I want to break through the walls of my apartment, much like these goats who I saw. Twitter has given us some amazing animal videos as quarantine has gone on. I remember seeing those sheep in Wales, which feels like just in another continent, another galaxy away. Everyone's now watched Tiger King, so the animal obsession continues. Finally, this one hits a little bit closer to home in San Jose. I don't know why, but I love this video because I have a kind of an odd mind where I'm thinking in the mind of a goat. I mean, this looks cool. I'm watching the video. This is amazing. But imagine a goat. You know, he's following the herd, bing, bang, boom. And all of a sudden, Charlie realizes, wow, we're really going for a walk today. And then you find out that, wow, I'm out here. What do you do if you're a goat? It's like the 5-year-old kid that you hear about every 3 years that like decides to go see grandma in his car. And you're going to get pulled over. Like this goat knows. They all know they're going to get stopped. What do you do? I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, and you wonder why you like it so much. I think that these goats are your spirit animal, Keith. You just want to break free. You want to roam the streets. You want to be able to go where you want. There was a kid. There was like a 5-year-old kid who stole his family's car and just started driving away. I mean, we're all starting to hit that point of quarantine, I think. For myself, for my social slice, Keith, a youngster like yourself might not know about the genius that is Monty Python. But I grew up, my father was a big Monty Python fan, so I watched this probably just as much as Sesame Street. But thanks to the pandemic, one particular sketch is starting to make a comeback, the Ministry of Silly Walks, which was a famous sketch from the 1970s, show the Monty Python's Flying Circus. And a family in Michigan has declared the sidewalk in front of their home under the jurisdiction of the Minister of Silly Walks. And silly walking is required to pass. Sounds outrageous. It absolutely is. The family records all the pedestrians on their Nest camera as they walk by and have created an Instagram account called Yorkshire Silly Walks. The idea has spread across the country and across the globe with something similar happening in Toronto, among other places, that has turned into a bit of a tourist attraction with families making sure to stop by on their bikes, bike rides, or on their walks around the neighborhood just to break things up. And it's fun to be a little goofball for a little bit and then let your sillies out, I guess. So I know when you're going for a walk, maybe next time when you're crossing the street and when you see those the lines in the crosswalk, maybe, be like Elf or something like that. I don't know, get your sillies out, man.
Yeah, do a little Abbey Road or something like that as I'm going across.
Exactly.
Props to this family because I think when you have the video capabilities, you have to pay extra for that to save all that video stuff. So they're really going all out. Good to see. And again, we're seeing a lot of creativity, but a lot of people who are literally looking for any way possible. Just going for a walk now becomes something fun. So cool to see. Chicken Parm Heroes. This one kind of touched my heart a little bit. In Riverside, California, 10-year-old girl named Paige came up with the idea of a hug curtain. Shower curtain, Ziploc bags, hot glue gun, disposable plates. So she was able to hug her grandparents, which is just the simplest little human connection. But I will say, when I saw my parents for my birthday, right outside the apartment, 6 feet away, masks and gloves on, you can't just go hug somebody anymore like you wouldn't even think twice. I mean, shaking hands, hugging, it wasn't there. And that it created kind of an odd divide, literally, because they didn't know what to do. That the hug just kind of starts the transaction, and when you leave, it finishes the transaction. So I certainly connected with this. I know you're able to kind of hug your kids and things like that, but I know your mom is over in Brooklyn. I don't know if you've been able to hug her, but maybe you need to get some plastic wrap first, Bill.
Yeah, so we have this is it's very odd. Like you said, it's unnatural to see family and just not hug each other. So this is a great way around it. For Mother's Day, my family we took my 2 sons and we traced their bodies on like butcher paper and had them color it in and send it to my mom so that would be her Mother's Day hug from her grandkids. So you're finding different ways to try to be together. Especially, in my instance, my mom is by herself in Brooklyn. We FaceTime every day. We talk every day. My sister stops by with her kids on the outside because she's there. But it's just unnatural to not be around family, especially when you're as close as most of us are. So, great job by her. For my chicken parm hero, we're going to keep it in the food world. And one of the things that I've enjoyed during the quarantine is being able to have a little more time and a little more freedom to watch some Food Network and get some new recipes and then try to experiment in the kitchen a little bit. So, Guy Fieri, who is the mayor of Flavortown, is taking care of his residents for sure. The Frosted Tip host of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, among other shows on the Food Network, has partnered with the National Restaurant Association to raise money for the Employee Relief Fund, and in under 2 months has raised over $20 million. And this is not him just putting his face on something. He apparently has been the one calling all these corporations and companies and asking for money from these Pepsis and other large corporations to get involved and help the food workers and those in the industry that have been affected by this just as much as anybody. So the fund is going to be distributing $500 grants to more than 60,000 applicants as of now who have lost their jobs or had to take a reduction in wages because of this. Well, to keep things going and raise even more money, Guy Fieri and his son will take on Bill Murray and his son in what has been dubbed the Nacho Average Showdown, which will air on Friday on the Food Network's Facebook page at 5 o'clock. The event is sponsored by Tostitos, who is obviously giving some money to the relief fund as well. So I thought this might be in your wheelhouse for you and Kate. Tostitos, a little Friday afternoon throwdown of nachos. Guy Fieri, Bill Murray, what's not to love?
Yeah, I love this story, obviously, because it is my favorite four-letter word of all time, and that's food. And Guy Fieri he's like a good dude. Like, he has given back numerous times. You're not going to see it on front page news, but he's given back to several different causes, and when people are in need, he seems to rise to the occasion. So he's just a good dude. Obviously, his Frosted Tips are amazing. I think he was in Hard Knocks too at Raiders camp, which you just love to see Guy Fieri like out in public. But yeah, Tostitos wise, I am down. We're mark me down, Tony. I am down, and we love our Tostitos in this household. So I am certainly in for sure. And who can't get enough of Bill Murray? I mean, Bill Murray, what is he going to do next? So what a combo of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably like my favorite random person is Bill Murray. And you see these stories of there's a phone number supposedly. I don't know if this is an Instagram or a Twitter rumor. There's a phone number you can call and just leave a message inviting Bill Murray to stuff, and he just shows up sometimes. So like that kind of stuff, he's a legend. And you never know what's going to happen when you throw these two guys together, especially when it's on Facebook and not on TV, so they can really be uncensored a little bit. So I'm excited for it.
Let's check in with sports. Go back to you on this one because I know you've been waking up bright and early.
Yeah, my sons are early risers. They wake up before the roosters sometimes. So I'm not afraid to say this, Keith, but I am loving KBO baseball. Now, this could be partially because I am so sports deprived that I'm just starving for anything. But I also think it's relatively enjoyable. I found myself being a fan of the NC Dinos. Number one, they're almost always on ESPN. So that is one thing to do for sure. And they have Aaron Altair on their roster, who was one of the few names that I recognized when I was scrolling through who was in the league, but also because their mascot has sort of taken the world by storm and has been dubbed Swole Daddy by social media. And when you look at this picture, you can absolutely see that is a absolutely appropriately named mascot for sure. But just to recap the last couple of days for the NC Dinos. Yesterday, 2-run home run in the 9th, ties the game, winning in the 10th. Today, they're tied in the bottom of the 10th. Bases loaded, 1 out. What's going to happen? Suicide squeeze goes awry. Runner tagged out at the plate, but not to worry. Next guy up, little bingo, win it in walk-off fashion. The hundreds of fans in attendance go wild. It's been fun. But, Keith, I'm not alone on this because as I was doing some more KBO research this morning, there's a website called mykbo.net, which is run by Dan Kurtz. And Dan is a 40-year-old stay-at-home father of 3 who was born in Seoul, and adopted by a Mennonite family in rural Pennsylvania. So right there, I was in. When I read that, I was that is just a juxtaposition that I am here for. So after developing a love of baseball here in the States, he did some studying abroad, went back to Seoul and went back to South Korea and discovered the KBO. And when he came back to the States, he started a English-speaking KBO fan website. So last week when this all started, he had 25,000 visitors on the first day of KBO baseball, which was a 27,000% increase from the year before. Now, this is just a passion project for Dan, not a moneymaker. So he pays for the minimal amount of bandwidth, and the site can handle roughly about 50 visitors at one time. So the site crashed, but Dan has since become sort of the Tony Fauci of KBO baseball and is on TV all the time talking to anybody who will listen about KBO baseball. He's done live spots on ESPN during the broadcast. So this is becoming a thing, and people are sort of just starved for baseball and looking for more information. This morning, they had a guy that was on the broadcast who was the former, like a diplomat for the U.S. over in South Korea. And he described it as Major League Baseball meets college football in terms of the atmosphere, because there's cheerleaders and there's chants and there's all these different things. So it's different for sure. There's a lot of bunting, which if you're an analytics guy, it's not your cup of tea, but it's fun for sure. And if you get a chance, check it out. It's live sports, so you can't really go wrong.
I don't think we've had a good .net site for maybe a decade or so. But mykbo.net, I will be sure to check out. I don't think I've been with .net since I had a Netscape or something like that, or dial-up or Zanga or things like that.
It might move a little slowly, but have some patience.
Hopefully I'll be one of the lucky 50 that'll be on the site at one time. We'll finish off today's sports and today's show with the greatest trump card in the history of being a New York Football Giants fan. We will always be able to say the following. Little backstory, Tom Brady was on Stupidity, which is a Stugotz from the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN podcast. And basically, Stugotz was just happy to get Tom Brady on, so we got to ask him a boatload of questions that might not have been so time sensitive, like, aren't you happy Peyton Manning is out of the league? To which Tom Brady said, no, I'm happy that Eli Manning is basically out of the league. So, Billy, for some godforsaken reason, that man gave us 2 Super Bowls against the greatest team, franchise coach, and quarterback in the history of the game. Eli Manning is 2-0 against them, and he will always be 2-0 against them. I know he went 47-65 after that. I know that a lot of Sundays we saw the Eli face after a couple of 3-and-outs. I should say many 3-and-outs that tore my heart out. But it almost makes it a better hill to die on that Eli Manning is 2-0 against Boston. And I will use that against Garrison Bryant. I'll use that against anybody else for literally the rest of my life.
Yeah, the Eli beats Tom Brady thing is my favorite sports conundrum of all time. It makes no sense, but I loved it. Because my wife is not here, I can say the best day of my life was when I was at the Super Bowl the second time they beat the Patriots, and that was just I have never been as entertained and just completely lost my mind. I was surrounded by Patriots fans. I went a little bit New York bad guy on him. So it was just a fun day for sure. And the Tom Brady's been sort of making the rounds because of this golf thing that he has with Peyton and Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, which again is live sports. So I'm sure I'll watch. But the back and forth on that has been entertaining to say the least, because Peyton Manning's like legitimately funny. Like not like, oh, it's a funny joke. Like he's a objectively funny guy. And when they did like their media rounds, Peyton was talking about how they had to play in Florida because Tom Brady's not allowed out of state because of his little breaking and entering thing that he ran into. And it was just, it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. The Manning family is, I wish I could be adopted because maybe I could have been an NFL quarterback, but who knows?
Yeah, Brendan, do me a favor. Just cut out all the things Billy said about his wife not being there and his favorite. Don't put that in because this is the show's gone worldwide. That is a hump day version of Slice of Life. That's Billy Harner. My name is Keith Brad. Brendan Bowling puts this show together. He does an amazing job with graphics and overlays and videos and things like that. So a big thank you to him. And we'll see you tomorrow, as always, on Slice of Life.
Have a great day, everybody.